Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session of transportation engineering. Today, we'll be seeing this topic horizontal alignment. As I had explained you all in the previous session, what is the need of highway alignment, how important alignment is, how important role it plays in safe use of vehicles from one place to another place. Let us see this. What is highway alignment? The alignment which enables safe, smooth and consistent movement of vehicles operating at design speed. So basically design speeds have been allocated to different roads. So if we are able to get a smooth and a consistent and a safe movement of vehicles, it is the preferred that is preferred from the highway alignment. So here, if improper design of horizontal alignment, so basically horizontal, we have vertical alignment as well as horizontal alignment. Today we'll be seeing what is the horizontal alignment. So improper design of horizontal alignment leads to speed changes, resulting in increased vehicle cost and higher accident. As I had told you how important alignment is. Alignment is the center line, which is provided on a carriageway bed. So here, if the alignment, horizontal alignment, has not been marked properly, then this can result in increased vehicle cost also, because if the route might become longer if it is not marked properly, and higher accident levels also will takes place, because alignment should be proper at some places, because the terrain is not flat. At some places we have a high terrain or a low terrain. There are some bumps also that should be set properly, so that there is no loss also to lives also. The overall design of any highway is a function of design speed. So for designing any highway, it is a function of design speed. We'll see side distances, radius of horizontal curve, super elevation, extra widening of pavement, length of horizontal widening curve. So side distances, basically we want a good side distance while overtaking, or we want a good side distance when we overcome somewhere a curve is coming. So radius of the horizontal curve, a radius should be proper. If a steep curve has been given, this might lead to accidents also. Super elevation is that concept in which because of the high centrifugal force acting on the vehicle at the place where there are curves, there are chances of the vehicle overturning or the vehicle skidding there. So at that place, the highway or the road is lifted slowly. Some part of the road is lifted, and angle is given, so that centrifugal force is managed. So extra widening of pavement also at some places where turning is required, and we need curves are there. At those places we need to sometimes give extra widening. Pavement should be given, it should be extra widened at that place where turning is there. A good turn needs to be taken place for big vehicles, large vehicles. Small vehicles, it is not that big problem, but large vehicles like buses or lorries, we need to give some extra widening at that place. Length of horizontal widening curve. The length of the horizontal widening curve should be managed properly, because you can just imagine a road is being designed, but at the turning it should be increased. That part should be increased. It should be widened. It should be made a little bit narrow. Okay, the length of the valley curve and the length of the summit curve, all this will be coming in the further slides. All the above are dependent on the design speed. All these, now we'll design all of these, but this is dependent on the design speed. Now design speed is related to other factors as well. Now if the design speed is less, all these factors which have been mentioned here, even there will be a change in these factors also. If the design speed is very high, depending on the arterials or subarterials or collector streets or whatever other streets are there, so all these factors also will change. Let us see that the design speed of roads depend upon terrain and class of road. As I had told you, the terrain is not proper always. It depends. We have different terrains. So depending on the different terrains, we have to go for a design speed. Now class of road is we have A class and B class, and different classes have been mentioned for the different types of vehicles. As I had told you, we have tracked vehicle and we have wheeled vehicle, and we have other vehicles also. The tracked vehicle has a very high intensity of load of about 700 tons. So it is very high. Depending on that class of road also, the speed depends upon. And we have wheeled vehicles also, that comes in class A, wheeled vehicle. So we have for that also different speed, design speed is also different. Next, the terrains are classified as plain, rolling and mountainous and steep. As you know, the terrains, the whole earth is not flat. Sometimes we have a plain terrain, sometimes rolling, and sometimes mountainous also. Mountainous also. So at some places, as we have mountains also, we have different type of speed limits also at that place. And we have steep places also. We have many places in our city also where it is very steep. At those places also we need to design depending on those conditions only. You can see the terrain classification for plain, the slope. How should be the slope? That should be 0 to 10. It has been given here. And the rolling, it should be from 10 to 25. For mountainous, 25 to 60. You can just see how it is increasing with the steep level increasing, or even this cross slope is also increasing. For steep, it should be greater than 60. The cross slope for steep terrain, it should be greater than 60. Let us see the recommended design speed for different classes are. For arterial roads, it is 80 km per hour. So arterial roads, these are the primary roads of an urban of urban streets or of an urban area. Arterial roads, the speed limit will be 80 kilometers per hour. Basically, these connect to the national highway, from there to the state highways, and then to the expressways. So these are the roads which have the highest design speed in the urban areas. You can see sub-arterial roads, it is about 60 kilometers per hour. It has a design speed of 60 kilometers per hour. So basically, these are the secondary type of roads which are in the urban, which have a design speed limit given in the urban areas. So these connect to the national highways and from there to the further highways as well. For collector streets, we have 50 kilometers per hour. These are the collector streets. These are a little bit related to residential streets. From these collector streets, we connect to the sub-arterial roads, and from there to the arterial roads. So they have a speed limit of about 50 kilometers per hour. And you can see local streets, 30 kilometers per hour. These local streets are the more where we have places of residential as well as some schools are also there, where we have to lower down a speed limit. So this design speed has been given as 30 kilometers per hour. Let us see what are the horizontal curves. You can see a horizontal highway curve is a curve in plan to provide change in direction to the center line of the road. Basically, the center line of the road keeps changing as the alignment changing. The center line also changing. We have to keep changing that center line as per the curves. So, as per the curves, the center line also changes. When a vehicle traverses a horizontal curve, the centrifugal force acts horizontally outwards towards the center of gravity of the vehicle. As I had told you, whenever horizontal curves come, as the vehicle is speed enough, it moves further. The centrifugal force tends to move the vehicle outwards the center of gravity and moves outward. So there are chances of these vehicles skidding away also, and these vehicles overturning also because of that centrifugal force acting. So we need to come up with a design, and we need to come up with a concept where this centrifugal force can be stopped. Rather, we should come up with some concept where we can safely provide passage to the vehicles negotiating this curve. The centrifugal force developed depends upon the radius of the horizontal curve. So the radius should be properly designed. It is very important. We should come up with a very good, we should design a proper radius wherein the centrifugal force can be reduced. The force can be reduced, which is getting generated. And the speed of the vehicle negotiating this curve. That is what we need to come up with some, the radius of the horizontal curve should be proper enough so that the speed can be broken down, the speed can be lowered, the force can be lowered, which is coming because of which is being generated because of the centrifugal force. Now you can see that, let us see the formulas. Centrifugal force P is given by P is equal to WV square by GR, where P is the centrifugal force, it is in kg. W is the weight of the vehicle, which is in kg. R is the radius of the circular curve, it is in meters, and V is the speed of the vehicles, meter per second, and G is acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.8 meter per second. You can see WV square by GR. This is the centrifugal force formula. Now we need to see what is the centrifugal force generated. Weight of the vehicle, we can get it. Radius, what is the radius of the circular curve? When we substitute that value, and V is the speed of the vehicle, we can just substitute these values. Now from here we get to know what is the centrifugal force after substituting these values here. Let us see, P by W is known as centrifugal ratio or the impact factor. The centrifugal ratio is thus equal to V square by GR. You can just see here, nothing has been done. P is equal to WV square by GR. W has been taken that side. P by W, you can see that formula there, V square by GR, that has been done here. So P by W is known as centrifugal ratio or the impact factor. The centrifugal ratio is thus equal to V square by GR. The centrifugal force acting on a vehicle negotiating a horizontal curve has two effects. As I had told you, a high centrifugal force is generated there. Now at the place of a horizontal curve, it has two effects. What is that effect? Tendency to overturn the vehicle outwards about the outer wheels. As I had told you, because of the force getting generated, there are chances of vehicle overturning. So overturn of vehicle is also there sometimes, and the next tendency is to skid the vehicle laterally outwards. So now if this horizontal curve is not designed properly, these two problems can happen, and this has happened at some places where the accidents were more. When case studies were done, this improper design of this horizontal curves was the factor which led to the accidents also. Let us see further overturning effect. The equilibrium condition for overturning will occur when pH is equal to WB by 2. Now the equilibrium condition, when will it occur? When pH is equal to WB by 2, or when P by W is equal to B by 2H. This means that there is a danger of overturning when the centrifugal ratio P by W or V square by GR attains values of B by 2H. Now when this attains the value of B by 2H, now that time there are chances of the vehicle overturning. So here we should be careful enough that the values shouldn't, the P by W or V square by GR shouldn't attain the value of B by 2H. This is important here. This should be maintained here. We'll see in the further figures how this happens. We'll just see in the further figures. You will understand properly here. Transverse skidding effect. Now this was overturning. So to reduce the overturning or to counter attack the overturning of the vehicle, the P by W shouldn't cross the value of, shouldn't be more than the value of B by 2H. You can see a transverse skidding effect. P is equal to Fa plus Fb is equal to F into Ra plus Rb. Ra and Rb are the reactions which have been caused, and F is the frictional force, F into W. Since P is equal to Fw, the centrifugal ratio P by W is equal to F. So as we already know, P by W is the centrifugal ratio or the impact factor. This is equal to F here. In other words, when centrifugal ratio attains a value equal to the coefficient of lateral friction, there is a danger of lateral skidding. Now this is the previous was for overturning. Now to reduce the skidding effect, transverse skidding effect. Now what we have to do is we have to reduce the lateral friction. Lateral friction is caused, so we have to reduce that value. Thus, to avoid overturning and lateral skidding on a horizontal curve, the centrifugal ratio should always be less than. You will please be careful here. The centrifugal ratio should always be less than B by 2H and also F. As I had told you, the factor B by 2H is very important. It should be less than B by 2H to B by 2H. F is less than B by 2H, the vehicle would skid and not overturn. If F is less than B by 2H, the vehicle can skid but it won't overturn. B by 2H is lower than F, the vehicle would overturn on the other side before skidding. So this is the problem. The factor B by 2H is very important. We need to maintain it. Let us see now to overcome this, what should be done. What is super elevation? You must have heard about this term super elevation. Now to overcome this overturning effect and to overcome this skidding effect, we have a concept called as super elevation. in order to counteract the effect of centrifugal force. See, we want to reduce the effect of centrifugal force. For that, this is the concept of super elevation, to reduce the tendency of the vehicle to overturn or skid. Because centrifugal force is being generated, there are chances of overturning and skidding. Now to overcome these overturning and skidding, we have this super elevation concept. Let us understand that the outer edge of the pavement is raised with respect to the inner edge, thus providing a transverse slope throughout the length of the horizontal curve. Just imagine it becomes a triangle pattern from the bottom. We'll see the figures, you can understand it very clearly. The outer edge is raised slowly and the inner edge is kept at that point only. Outer edge is raised so that this centrifugal force is reduced. The centrifugal force which is generated, it should be reduced. This transverse inclination to the pavement surface is known as super elevation or cant or banking. So the increase of outer edge of the pavement is known as super elevation. The super elevation is expressed as E as the ratio of height of the outer edge with respect to the horizontal width. Ratio of height of the outer edge with respect to horizontal width. Let us just see here. You can see you can see this figure of super elevation. You can see the outer edge of the pavement being raised and the inner edge is same. A triangle has been formed here. At the bottom, you can see at the bottom of the figure where super elevation has been written and an arrow has been marked there. E is equal to EV, centrifugal force is being generated, super elevation force is there, transverse friction is also there. So to counteract this centrifugal force, this path is raised. Now at which place is it raised? This pavement is raised at the horizontal curve. When we overcome a horizontal curve, at that place this super elevation is needed. You can just see here, just see this vehicle. This is how the formula is being done, is being calculated. You can see the centrifugal force, W is the weight of the vehicle. We have P is the force that is acting there in blue mark, you can see, and you can see F is the force which is being generated. W sine alpha and W cos alpha are the weight of the vehicle. In mechanics you must have learnt all this, how are these forces distributed in your previous years. P cos alpha, you can also see. Now what is this? W sine alpha plus F W cos alpha. W sine alpha plus F W cos alpha. You can just see here what we'll get. WV 2 into S M A by GR. A line has been missed here. So WV square by GR into cos alpha. This is how we get this formula. You can just see here 1 feet has been written there. The bottom size is 1 feet and super elevation has been denoted by A. So this depends on the calculation. We'll see it in the later stage and we'll do some problems also where we'll get a clear picture here. Let us see analysis of super elevation. The force acting on the vehicle while moving on a circular curve of radius r meters at speed of v meter per second r. So here we are seeing how to analyze super elevation, how to come up, how should the payment be increased, on what condition should we increase it and to what amount should we increase it. Now we are calculating that. The centrifugal force P is equal to WV square by GR acting horizontal outwards through the center of gravity CG. The weight W of the vehicle acting vertically downwards through the CG, as I had told you all in this figure. You can see that W is acting downwards and what he is telling P is acting outside. You can see there P cos alpha is written there. P sin alpha is also marked other way. You can see that CG. Now the frictional force developed between the wheels and the pavement counteraction transversely along the pavement surface towards the center of the curve. Now this frictional force, you can see F, it is acting at the center of the vehicle. So we have frictional force, we have weight of the vehicle. Now depending, and we have centrifugal force that has been generated here. Now to overcome this, we come up with super elevation. We slowly increase one side of the pavement, thereby maintaining reducing the force that has been generated here. Let us see. maximum super elevation in case of heavily loaded bullock carts and trucks carrying less dense materials like straw or cotton. Sometimes, see, we have different types of modes of transport, so bullock cart is also there. They don't carry heavy amount of load, so in those conditions what happens, the center of gravity of the loaded vehicle will be relatively high, and it will not be safe for such vehicles to move on road with a high rate of super elevation. So basically we have designed that depending upon the type of vehicles coming there. So because we have some weight also coming there, so that is why super elevation is required for those type of transport vehicles, rather than if some bullock carts cross over that, there it might be dangerous. Because of the slow speed, the centrifugal force will be negligibly small in the case of bullock carts, as there is no speed, because we had calculated depending on the centrifugal force that was created because of the high speed. Hence, to avoid the danger of toppling of such loaded slow moving vehicles, it is essential to limit the value of maximum allowable super elevation. So maximum allowable super elevation should also be limited here. Indian Road Congress has fixed the maximum limit of super elevation in plain and rolling terrains and in snowbound areas, that's 7%. So this has been limited by the Indian Road Congress for plain and rolling terrain and snowbound areas. It should be 7%. On hilly roads not bound by snow, a maximum super elevation up to 10% has also been allowed. Hilly roads are there, but snow is not there, so super elevation can go up to 10%. On urban road stretches with frequent intersections, it may be necessary to limit the maximum super elevation to 4% only. You just see here in urban road plan, it should be limited to 4% only. So it is very important how is the super elevation calculated, what are the factors of calculating super elevation. We need to see on depending on what terrain areas also there. So basically in the further session we'll be seeing how to calculate super elevation, minimum super elevation, maximum super elevation, and some problem also we'll be doing here. Minimum super elevation, you can see from drainage consideration, it is necessary to have a minimum cross to drain of the surface water. A little, the pavement should be lifted a little bit where the water can drain off. That is what is the minimum super elevation. If the calculated super elevation is equal or less than the camber of the road surface, then the minimum super elevation to be provided on the horizontal curve may be limited to the camber of the surface. As I had told you, camber is that part which in the middle part, once the alignment is done, the middle part of that roadway width is increased slightly in the middle, so that by form that increasing of pavement at the middle, at the center, is called as camber. Basically that is provided so that whenever it rains, so that the water can drain off. This is the need of providing camber. So if in chances at the horizontal curve the super elevation is lower than the camber, so it should be provided as per what the camber has been provided. So this is the maximum and minimum super elevation. These are very important. In the further sessions we'll be doing some problems where you will get a very clear picture, and some we have some calculations also, how super elevation, what is the formulas for super elevation, all that will be done in the further sessions. So thank you, and thanks a lot for your patient listening. I request all of you all to please go through this session, and I hope you'll find it informative, and please give your comments in the comment section. Thanks a lot.